Joe, you have accomplished quite a bit with awards through the years. And we congratulate you on that. One of the questions I like to ask you now is, what would you like to be remembered as most?
Not being interested in making money in them.
Okay.
Not being interested in seeing how many I could raise. Just basically interested in improving the breed as I interpret it.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily the current trend.
Yeah.
But I'm doing what I can to put it where I believe it belongs, and I always have. And that's my primary goal, is to raise one like the picture upstairs.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, I'll be remembered, but I don't think I'll ever do that. Yeah. Well, I know I won't now, but I never anticipated I'd be able to, and but I strive for it. And that was my main goal. I wasn't looking for glory, I was looking for self-satisfaction.
Self-satisfaction. And yeah, as we looked at many of your awards, and then you spoke about writing all these articles into the numerous different publications that have been out, it just has proven how much Joe has put into the hobby here, and how important it really is for individuals, let it be beginners or even master breeders today, how important it is to continue to write articles, continue to do video casts like we're doing for the hobby, so that new and old people can continue to see what has happened throughout the years for the hobby, and how, you know, we continue to hopefully improve on the hobby. Many people in the world today still hear the word pigeon, and you know, right away you get the terms a rat with wings. You get all these different bad names for the pigeon hobby, but is there something, Joe, that you can say a positive thing about the pigeon hobby? Something positive where someone would say, "Oh, that's a dirty thing. How could you even think about raising pigeons?" Is there something that you could possibly mention on how it's a good hobby?
Well, for one thing, it keeps you at home with your family. And you try to bring your family up in the pigeon world if you can.
Yeah. And the pigeon hobby has kept you connected with your son?
It kind of gets in your blood. Yeah. Once you've had pigeons, you always go back to them. I mean, my father did the same thing. Yeah. He had pigeons, and then he didn't have them, and then but he wanted to get back into them again. Yeah. And I was without them for a number of years. When I got into the service in World War II. When I got out, I got a job, and I got transferred all over the damn country. And so I didn't have the time, and I didn't have the location. Yes. But I look forward to finding a place where I could anchor. I've lived here for 47 years, and I've had pigeons the whole 47 years I've lived here. Wow. So, you know, it gets in your blood, you get dedicated to it, and you fall back on it when you're looking for something to I don't know, to kind of get your feet into and contribute something to.
You would say that the pigeon hobby is it a very good hobby for a family to get involved with?
Yeah, it could be, and it should be. Okay. Yeah. In all honesty, I haven't gotten any of my boys interested in it.
Not yet.
They used to be interested. I've had several that used to go to shows with me. Okay. But now they got their own families, and they're busy with work, and as I was doing. I didn't have them my whole life. I had an intermission period, like a lot of people do in the pigeon game. Okay. They come back to it when they had it when they were kids, or when they had it somewhere. they like to it gets into you. You know, you think, gee, remember when I had the pigeons and I had fun with them, you know, and I met nice people. And so why don't I try it again, you know? And that's kind of what we're trying to encourage people to do here, is if you've had them, get back in them.
Yeah.
If you haven't had them, find out what maybe you've been missing. Maybe you'd enjoy it.
That's true.
It's worth trying. You don't have to do it on a big scale.
Yes.
You know, just do it modestly. Because you're going to grow into it. It's like having a boat.
Yes.
If you're a fisherman or a boatman, you start out with a rowboat and you end up with a cabin cruiser. You know, you upgrade yourself as you
keep
go
upgrading.
along.
That's a good way of putting it and describing it. You know, and going back for a family that wants to get into the pigeon hobby, you can start off with pretty much a very small, basic type of, I'm going to say a rabbit hutch for maybe one pair of birds. Is that pretty sufficient for someone to get started? Or?
Not really. No, you need a couple of pair.
Okay, you need a couple pair?
You need a couple of pair, yeah.
Okay, but you would need to build a cage that's a little bit larger?
I started with 2 pair of satinets, and that's all I had when I started.
Okay.
And, but you got to have a couple of pair, because you can't just raise one pair and mate them, and, you know, you got to cross-mate them. You got to pick out the traits that each one of them have, if you're interested in that.
Yes.
Now, if you're flying pigeons, and flying pigeons is another hobby completely.
Okay.
It's like racing homers is another hobby completely.
Yes.
You know, flying pigeons in New York City was a big thing when I was a kid. It's not anymore. Most of the New York flyers are in Long Island or in Florida today. You know, but in those days it was different. You can start out that way. It isn't as much fun today because you can't catch strays like you used to.
Yeah.
I used to spend weekends just catching other people's birds or mixing mine with somebody else's and seeing how many I could get down from their flock and so forth. You don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
At least I'm not aware of it if they do.
Yeah.
So it's a different hobby today. But you have to select, do you want to fly birds? Do you want to breed show birds? You want to have racing homers? You want to have performing birds that fly for hours and hours and hours? Or you want rollers that roll? There are so many options that you can enjoy. And you have to select. You don't have to select, but you know, you should select. And you may switch from one to another
as time goes on.
If you get exposed to what the other fellows are doing, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, almost any of the hobbies you select can be very consuming. I mean, you get very involved in them, or you can and should.
Yeah.
And I always have, and they've always been very satisfying to me. And I just wish I could do it now. It breaks my heart. Next to my wife, they're my best love.
Yeah.
Okay? And she's gone. Now my birds are gone too.
Oh.
So I don't have much left. But I do have nice friends.
Well, that's great. That's great.
So and I appreciate that. And they kind of stick together. And it does me good. And I wish I could be part of them. But I hope to be back again someday.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear, actually. So pretty much what Joe's explained is that for someone looking for a hobby, let it be for just themselves, for their family getting started, is that the pigeon hobby is a great hobby to get into. And again, once you decide that you want to try getting into the pigeon hobby, and it's just like breeding rabbits or another type of an animal, is that there's so many different categories you can go into. You got the flying, you got the racing, you got the fancy birds, and Joe's had flying birds and the show birds on previous shows. You can go back and take a look. We spoke about his Oriental Frills, but it's a great hobby to get into.
I recommend they go to a pigeon show along with whatever else they do, because they may see some birds there they never knew existed and be fascinated by them, as I was as a youngster.
That's good
I
advice.
saw the Oriental frill and I said, oh, I got to have some of those, you know.
Yeah.
We had all kinds of other birds. We had flying birds. We catch all kinds of stray birds and had a variety of, I had maybe 60 or 70 birds, pigeons flying around, you know, in my loft. Well, when I got into the fancy birds and saw what I could do, I said, well, if I'm going to be successful, I got to focus on these.
Mm-hmm.
I have to select carefully and don't go for big flocks of birds. Pick out a couple of select birds and stay with them and see what you can do with them. It's a challenge.
It is. It really is. And for you out there that are wondering, how do you find out about a pigeon show that may come up, where to find birds that are for sale and all that, again, you can look at our website, which was birdclubsusa.com. We have a show calendar section on there. It's broken down by months, and you just go ahead, go through the calendar. You'll see shows through many states in the United States, other countries, but pretty much we cover just all the shows in the United States and all that. So, but Joe, we appreciate it so much of you coming on our show once again. Thank you. And again, this was Jeff Capper, CoopCast, along with Joe Liska from New Canaan, Connecticut. Thank you, Joe, and look forward again to another show coming up.
If I can help anybody, have them give me a buzz.
Sounds good, Joe. Thank you.